Hey friends, Gator Mom here. Welcome back to my channel. I hope you're having a great day. Today I'm introducing a brand new series here on my channel that I'm super excited about. Every week I'm going to be bringing you a brand new topic of 5 Friday favorites. Alright, so to kick off this series, we're going to be talking about Disney. Those of you that are new to my channel may not know, but I have a 10-year-old, an 8-year-old, and a 5-year-old. We live here in Central Florida and we frequent the parks a lot. We have annual passes to Disney and SeaWorld and Universal and kind of all of these Central Florida type theme parks. So I feel like I kind of have this packing thing down to a science. But with that being said, I have older and younger elementary aged kids. So if you have little itty bitties, if you have toddlers, if you have infants, your list might look a little bit different than my list. And also if you don't have kids, there's some things that I'm mentioning today that you might not need to take to your Disney trip. So just keep that in mind. I'm kind of like going right down the middle with my aged kids and going to be sharing things that we make sure that we don't forget when we go to the parks. Now, typically when we go, being that we are annual pass holders and we live close to them, we like to do half days or just go for a couple hours and come home. In Florida, it's just so hot and it's hard to do those long days. So when we go, we typically go for like a show and a parade and ride a couple rides and come home. But my list usually never changes. There's been a couple of times that I've brought a small little like crossbody and I haven't had these things with me. And no matter if I'm going for an hour or if I'm going all day long, I now always bring the things that I'm mentioning to y'all today. All right, number 1, let's talk about snacks. So we've been to the park with food and we've been to the park without food. And I'm gonna just say that I need to make sure that every single time that we visit the park with my particular kids, I must have snacks. So I say that because there's so many times that you are waiting for a ride, waiting for a parade, waiting for a show, and someone will have a meltdown. They will get super hungry instantaneously. It doesn't matter if 5 seconds ago you had popcorn or a Mickey bar or whatever. Right now they need food and like the world is gonna end if they don't have a granola bar. So I always make sure I have a small little bag that has snacks that I know my children are gonna eat, whether it's their favorite granola bar, a go-go squeeze of applesauce, peanuts, if it's some type of trail mix or something that I'm making at home and I'm bringing, it's a pouch that I know without fail they're gonna eat what's inside of there. And it's also good because sometimes you don't want to stop if you're like on the go, if you're trying to get to that next ride or whatever you're doing. Sometimes the lines are really long and you don't want to necessarily stop and get food. And when we go to the parks a lot, we don't always eat there. We'll just go and maybe bring our own snacks and then we'll only go to like a restaurant if it's a special occasion. Number 2, let's talk about activities. What to bring to the park, what are some good ones to always have on hand, and do you really need them? I think you absolutely need to have activities when you're coming to the park with kids. I know you're going there for entertainment and you're going there so that they are occupied all day long and have the best day ever, but reality is there's a lot of waiting when it comes to theme parks. When it comes to waiting in line for rides, waiting for a show, waiting for a parade, there's a good bit of downtime and you want to make sure you have something that's going to occupy your kids during those times. One thing that I like to do is bring a pouch, and I try my hardest to always have new things inside of that pouch. Now we go to the parks a lot, so I can't always replenish our stock, but if you're going just strictly for like a vacation, it's a good idea to have things that your kids have never seen before because A, it's going to keep them occupied longer, and B, it's going to hopefully keep them out of that Disney store. If you have new little kind of tokens and trinkets throughout the day that you're handing them when they're being good or when they're being well behaved or just simply waiting, they're new things that they're seeing for the first time. So that's kind of like their toy instead of going into the Disney shop. So you're going to be spending like $1, $3, $5 on an item to bring from home, whereas in the shops you're going to spend maybe triple that amount. So I always like to have new things that they've never seen. The Target dollar spot is amazing for that kind of stuff. The Michael's stores, like the craft stores, Dollar Tree is also another really, really good one that you can buy items for like $1 to $3, and most of the time you can find Disney themed goodies. So that's like even more fun if you're going to be going to a Disney park. I like to always have like play packs. That's a really good activity to have. You guys have seen these in like all my videos. They just have a little coloring book and crayons and stickers, and it's all in one and it's perfect. Another thing that I like to bring is dice game. You can find tons of these like Yahtzee, which we actually have inside this little pouch here, like little play cards and some dice. Also, you guys have seen a ton from me are these Rory's Story Cubes. These are great because they're just little dice and you can roll them. You don't need a big area to play, just like a small little spot, and you roll the actual dice. Oh, mine's knotted, so I can't show you, but basically on each dice there's a different picture, and they roll the dice and then they have to tell a story relating to all the different pictures that are there. So it kind of gets them talking, and it's something different to do. Also, these little like travel checkers, these are all super small things that you can throw inside your bag and will keep them occupied. For my older kids, I like to have them bring whatever book they're reading. Now, if my son's reading like a Harry Potter or something that's like this thick, I'm not gonna cart that around all day long, but like a really thin little American Girl doll book that my daughter's reading, that's a great example. Or just something small that they like and that they're in the middle of reading that you can bring along to occupy them at an older age. Number 3, you never want to forget, in my opinion, ponchos when you're going to a theme park here in Florida. I picked these up at Target. They're just regular Coleman brand. I want to say they're anywhere from $1 to maybe $3 a poncho. I can't remember now, but you can find these in Dollar Trees and places like that also. But I never ever forget ponchos. And the main reason being, especially if you're traveling in the summertime, it without fails rains every single day here in Florida. Sometimes it's just a nice little afternoon shower that's gonna cool off the day, and then other times it will downpour for hours and hours and hours. But what's great about it is typically on those rainy days, the parks clear out for all those people that don't want to necessarily play in the rain. And if you have a poncho on, like 90% of the rides stay open. Like unless there's like a lightning storm or something that's a little bit more intense, a lot of those rides that you would be normally waiting super long for, the wait times shrink down majorly in the rain. So I always make sure I have a poncho. Yes, you can buy them at the parks, but when it starts raining out of nowhere, like it could literally be sun shining and then 2 seconds later it like downpours. You don't necessarily have time to find the shops that have these ponchos, and you don't really want to pay Disney prices for something you can get for much less. Number 4, along the same lines as weather protection, you want to make sure you bring some type of travel sunscreen to the parks, especially if you have little itty bitties. I always spray down my kids with like the normal like spray sunscreen before we go, so that I make sure that we have coverage everywhere. And then I always bring along some type of a facial sunscreen stick so that it's easy to apply throughout the day on their face. My children tend to burn a lot more on their face throughout the day, and it's like the #1 thing to keep protected from them. So I make sure that I apply this just a couple of times throughout the day. This is our favorite one. It's by Sunbum, but of course you can get any brand that you want. I just throw it in my bag and I have it. I always make sure that I get like their cheekbones here, their nose, and especially the tops of their ears. I've had a couple of times that even myself have burned my ears, but my children have burned like the very tops of their ears. My boys, because like they don't have hair that's covering them or anything like that, and it is just not a fun thing. Another thing that you might not think to protect as far as the sun is spray sunscreen on the tops of your feet. If you're wearing a sandal or flip-flops or something like that, you might not think to spray sunscreen on your feet, but that is one of the #1 things that I've burned before, and it is not fun at all. So make sure you have enough sun protection. Also, when you're going, make sure that you're bringing something that will help keep you cool throughout the day. A lot of kids have those water bottles that have the spray fans on the end. On Amazon is a great place to buy super cheap little handheld fans. Awesome for kids to have. I like to bring these frog togs along with us when I know that we're gonna be gone for like a couple of hours or all day long. These are big ones that we use. I mean, this one's really been through it. Like you can see the dirt and everything on it. These are the ones that we use typically for like sporting activities when my boys are playing soccer or basketball or something like that. But I have brought them to the parks and it's been wonderful. You just get them wet and it's basically like turns into like a soft cooling rag, and it stays cold throughout the day. All you have to do is just get it wet over and over again. This is a huge one, but on Amazon, I know for sure you can buy ones that are much smaller because you definitely don't need one quite this big. But they do have ones that are like the fraction of the size, and it wouldn't be a bad idea to carry those with you in your bag. Last but not least, number 5. These are 2 items that I always have in our Disney bag that is typically by the front door, like in our entryway area or our laundry room, right ready to go at any given time. Sometimes it just kind of lives in the trunk of my car also, but always packed up inside whatever bag I happen to be using for theme parks at that time. I like to have our autograph books. So this is something that I have forgotten in the past because we didn't have any intentions to visit any characters. We didn't have any fast passes or anything like that. and I wish I would have had them. It's kind of bulky to carry around because I have 3 kids, so I have 3 sets of autograph books, I have 3 pens in here, but carrying them in some type of like a wristlet case that you can just pull out of your bag and have for that particular meet and greet is perfect. The reason I say to always make sure you have them is you never know when a character is gonna pop up around the park that is unannounced or unplanned and your kid needs that like autograph from Goofy, like right there at that moment, and you are the worst mom in the world if you don't have their autographed books. So I always make sure that I have them. Also, I always make sure that I bring at least, well, only 1 pair, but we have a ton. 1 pair of mini ears for my daughter and I. I don't like to wear them all day long. I mean, it is hot and muggy here in Florida, so having this on your head all day long is probably not necessary, but anytime I go to take a picture with her at the park, she's like, Mommy, where are mini ears? And I want my ears, and sometimes we want them and sometimes they don't. So there's been times that I haven't brought them that she really wants them, so I always make sure that I have them. Now, if you're visiting like on vacation, these are 2 items that you might be planning on purchasing whenever you get to the park, and you definitely can do that, but it will save you a ton of money and a ton of time if you get these items before you come to the park and then you already have them packed. Again, it's going to keep you out of that Disney shop where you're going to buy tons of other stuff that you weren't planning on getting, and it's going to save you time waiting in lines to buy those autograph books. There's a lot of different Etsy shops that make really cute mini ears. You can also DIY them yourself to have a variety of different ones. So it's just good to kind of be prepared and always have them going to the park. And also, as far as the autograph books go, that's another thing that you can make your own. I've seen a lot of people do really cute white picture frames for that particular vacation, and you can have all the characters sign the outside of that frame instead of an autograph book, so that you can put a family picture from that trip inside that frame. So another really kind of cool idea, but things that if you just think ahead about before you plan your vacation, it will save you, again, like a ton of money and a ton of time. All right, so that is my 5 Friday favorites for you today. I hope you've enjoyed this video. I would love to know in the comments below if there's any type of topic of favorites that you would love for me to cover in the coming weeks, and I will talk to you next time. Bye.